Logan, Utah. Dominating performance early on homecoming weekend for the Aggies of Utah State, looking, and this is their first home game of the young season. So looking for another win on homecoming weekend. And what a disparity. And I talked about dominating, the numbers prove it.
Obviously, Weber State's missing their senior quarterback. There's no doubt about that. Jordan Adomchek not playing tonight. The freshman quarterback, Austin Chippoletti's had his hands full, and then you give the ball back to this Utah State offense, and they have rolled both balance, run, and pass tonight. Been very impressive.
Joe Hill is the single, so it's going to be first and goal. The first snap of the second, fade corner, Natson, jump ball, and it's out of bounds. So it's incomplete, but a good job just the same. And now they're saying touchdown. Touchdown! Go figure.
Rolling on the field, touchdown.
Fackrell's in there, actually, wearing number 9. So Fackrell, the outside backer, and Natson both wear the same number.
We knew we might see Fackrell come in and play a little receiver / tight end in this game. Folks, that's an outside linebacker that they brought into the game just to run the fade. He's got the height advantage, obviously, at 6'5".
Rolling on the field is a touchdown.
Athlete on the
that rolling is
side.
under further review.
He can make plays on the offensive side as well. Looks like they're going to take a look at this one, Joel.
And it really shouldn't stand because we saw it live and he was juggling it on a shoulder pad. Live it looked that way. And I think as they get a closer look at it, he did not possess it until he was out of bounds. So it'd be surprising if the play stands for Fackrell.
See how he high points the football. I'll tell you what, he did get that first foot in bounds, so if he controlled it all the way to the ground, which it looks like he did, that could end up standing, Joel. I think he might have got that first foot down.
Yeah, but did he? I think he was bobbling the ball. It came out of his hands to his shoulder pad.
Whether they keep this a touchdown or not, I'm just so impressed that a guy from the defensive side can come in and catch a fade ball, knowing the fact that we're taking a look at it, we see that it's close enough, knowing how to get those feet in bounds. It must go back to high school with his ability to go out, split out, and line up at receiver. High points the ball, tough matchup, obviously, for the safety Cameron Sanders.
But there it's out.
And he is bobbling the ball. Then the left foot comes down on the white. Looks like it'll be overturned. I'll tell you what, I wouldn't be surprised if they line it up and try to throw it again with that mismatch out there.
After further review, the play stands is called touchdown.
Everything's working right now for Utah State. Their first team all-WAC linebacker last year is a redshirt freshman. Gets the call. The touchdown for Keaton is his third touchdown toss already in this game. The other two going to his tight end. The first one, Tialavea. And the other to Travis Reynolds on the 39-yarder. And now 5-yard score to Tyler Fackrell.
You don't know how long Chucky Keaton's going to be in the game, so you got to say this now. He has really demonstrated what makes him so great. He's made the touch throws. He's made the deep passes accurately downfield. He's been great underneath. We've seen the mobility, a little bit of everything so far from the all-WAC performer from a year ago.
Nick Diaz with the point after. It is a beautiful night for homecoming in Logan, Utah. Game time temperature 70 degrees at kickoff. And you know, you're not that far removed from playing high school football. You play both ways in high school, so there's not a surprise that he was either a tight end or a wide receiver besides playing linebacker or defensive end in high school. We're talking about Tyler Fackrell right there with the touchdown reception.
It's still so unique, though, because I'm sure as a young player, he was all-league a year ago as a freshman, so you're sure that he's spending almost 99.9% of his time focusing on becoming a better linebacker. So for him to come out and be an option for this team early on in this football game, really, this isn't something that they're experimenting with. I think Aggie fans can expect to see Kyler Fackrell on the field a lot more this season on offense.
At this rate, if they're doing it up and down 28 times and the potential to score 60 or 70 in a night, a lot of kids that are going to be sick at the end of the night. Talking to the ones that are tossing. Bo Bolin waits for the kick. Thompson gets into it. and into the wind. Bolin will take it about 2-3 yards out. Out of bounds he goes. But a good play on special teams that time by Devin Centers. Okay, what about a first down? That'll be a start for Austin Cipollette and Weber State. Not a huge difference, believe it or not, in time of possession. And I bring that up because that usually can be the most meaningless stat where the stats lie, because everything's been so quick on the scores and the short drives, the short fields for Utah State.
That just goes to show you the domination that we've seen early on in this game. If Weber State's got a trick up their sleeve, now's the time to use it, no doubt about it.
The dump off didn't fool anybody. Got it out to Josh Booker. Mackerel right there who just scored. And we talked about he and Natson are both wearing number 9, but there's about 8-9 inches difference. Talking about height.
I wonder how many times this has happened this year. An outside linebacker catches the touchdown, comes right out on the field, and makes a tackle for loss on the next play. We're seeing something unique here tonight, no doubt.
Ripley's, believe it or not, second and about 15. Cipollette at the feet of his intended target. Kauai, the tight end. Their quarterback's not big. The starter, Adamczyk, who's not playing tonight, only 6'1". And Cipollette, they list him at 5'11", so you know he's probably 5'10".
They really like him. You know, Coach Sears talked about this young quarterback having a very bright future. Very tough assignment for him to draw his first road start tonight at a tough place like Romney Stadium.
Booker belted in the backfield. Vigil there. So they tried to fool him a little bit on 3rd and 15. Dropping back in the secondary, but it's going to be punt once again. So 3 and out on 5 consecutive possessions for Weber State. Feeling like it's Utah all over again.
They had that problem a week ago, over 12 punts then, and they look like they're well on their way to passing that number here tonight.
Now number 9 is back waiting for the punt. Bruce Jojo Natson. And downwind, he'll take it with a lane up the middle. A lot of room for Natson. Yeah. Got a block from center. It's a good one downfield. So from bad to worse for Weber State. Utah State gets it already up 28, and they start a drive in plus territory on Weber State's side of the field for 30. A 28-0 lead already for Utah State. We still have 13-plus minutes left in the half. Joel Myers, Kevin O'Connell, and Chucky Keaton put on some kind of performance already. May not see him much. You see his numbers from last week. You watched a lot of film of him.
I did. Just studying what he was able to improve on from last year, the fundamentals so impressive. It's the throws he makes on the run that really catch your eye on tape. And, of course, coming into this game, led this team in rushing. He really does everything to make this Utah State offense go.
Good wheels, great gun. And now he's got it to the Weber State 30. Looking for the screen. They've got it underneath. Natson breaks an early tackle. And gets close to a first down. Got about 9 down to the 21. Braden Corpus finally got to him. But back to Chucky Keaton. 63 of 80 over the first 2 weeks before coming in tonight, where he's 10 of 13. Joe Hill does not get the first down. Good penetration up front. He's belted, put backwards. Connor Myers, the junior tackle from Edmond, Oklahoma.
3rd and 2 coming up. Weber State defense, what are you going to do? You've given up 4 of 4 first downs for Utah State in this game. Send everybody. Send everybody you got.
It'll be a direct snap. Hill's got it. He takes a shot, but he's got the first down. So you want him to load up the box.
That was Wildcat right there. They lined up a running back at quarterback. But what I think is you just got to sell out. Obviously, early on in this game, what you're trying to do is not working. Send everybody you have and try to force a turnover. Get yourself a little bit back into this game.
Joe Hill again. Different look now all of a sudden, mixing things up, but the luxury up by 28.
Absolutely. The receiving core and running back core, a little bit of a committee approach for this team, different from a year ago. They lost a ton of production from 2012, but as we've seen here tonight, it really is not affecting them one bit early on in this season.
And you and I have talked about it, a seamless transition for a head coach to take over, knowing the system as well as Matt Wells does.
That's the benefit of hiring your offensive coordinator as your head coach the following year, no doubt.
Keaton's back there. Man throw the corner, or the fade into the corner. Van Leeuwen, and out of bounds. So they're looking for a flag, but it really didn't look like it was catchable anyway.
Cordero Dixon, obviously physical. They like the way he's 5'10", 175, plays bigger than that. Physical with Travis Van Leeuwen there. They try to throw another double move at him. Seen a little adjustment from Weber State, starting to get up and try to press these receivers a little more, try to force the issue back against Utah State, as we've seen them have success down the field early in this game.
Utah State perfect on their third down so far. This is the 3rd and 6. Spread them out, middle of the field available. Touchdown, Aggies. It's Ronald Butler, the junior from Jersey City, New Jersey. Man, they're really spreading it out now.
Ronald Butler, first career catch as an Aggie, a touchdown a week ago. His second career catch as an Aggie, once again a touchdown. I think they should throw the ball to this guy every single play just to see what happens. We talked about Weber State coming up trying to press these Utah State receivers. Look at that, though, the physical finish, obviously, by Ronald Butler. They like this guy a lot. He's a name, as this Mountain West Conference season gets going, I think you're going to hear a ton from on this Utah State offense.
Diaz for the point after. 35th point of the game for Utah State. Whenever you talk to coaches and you're a former quarterback, they say that it all starts with footwork. And we've been watching Keaton out of the gun, but he seems stable with his footwork.
The footwork, obviously, Coach wouldn't have told us that about his junior quarterback unless it was something Chucky really worked on in the offseason, and he's just very tight with his fundamentals in the pocket. And, folks, if you don't know what that means, it just means he doesn't take up a lot of space. So the pocket can close down on him. He can face pressure, but it really doesn't matter because he's
unsportsmanlike conduct, offense, number 91. 15-yard penalty will be assessed on the kickoff.
That's called a
try is good.
Gianavea. But it's not going to dampen Ronald Butler's touchdown catch.
Keaton, obviously, we've seen him hit 7, 8 different receivers now. This offense, with the versatility that it brings, it's almost more powerful to have the committee-type receiving core because the defense has no chance to match up one guy or two guys. They've got to defend 4 or 5 at all times. And when you've got a quarterback like Keaton, it virtually is unstoppable at times.
And you talked about it, winning last week on the road at Air Force in their first year in the Mountain West Conference, a statement right away for Utah State for a championship in the conference.
Everybody in the Mountain West Conference knows that playing Air Force at home in Colorado Springs early on in the season can be very, very tough. And that victory, although we saw Boise State with a nice victory over Air Force last night, that victory still means a lot because going to Colorado Springs, your first Mountain West game, to put on a show like they did, complete all 3 phases, very good effort. They were good on special teams. The defense was obviously outstanding. And then, of course, Keaton and that offense were rolling all day long. Very impressive start to their Mountain West campaign.
Low line drive picked up by A.J. Coney inside his own 20. And popped as the ball came out, but he was already stopped. Forward progress over. So Weber State looking for their first down of the contest.
There is no fumble on the play. The runner was down prior to the ball coming loose.
35-0 on the scoreboard, though. I asked Matt Wells about looking past Weber State because it's USC next week. I said, you got to put blinders on these guys? So you know what? There's been 8 FBS schools that have already lost over the first 2 weeks to FCS schools. Kids know it. they're not going to look past it.
Those other Big Sky schools and FBS schools, or FCS schools, I should say, that were able to win those football games have done their counterparts no favors, because now they're on the drawing board. They are on the map for these FBS schools, knowing that you cannot come out and play lightly despite having a game like USC next week. I think that is going to be a great football game, great opportunity for Utah State to go on the road and get a really big victory and get them back to where they want to be going into the rest of their Mountain West Conference schedule.
Now, this is a challenge, believe it or not, for Matt Wells, 4 minutes into the second quarter. Would you call this piling on?
Timeout. Utah State. First charge timeout. 30-second timeout.
It'll be a 30-second timeout. So no challenge. Instead, a short break. Charge to Utah State. They can afford it, though. 251 yards on 32 snaps, I guess so. And Keaton, he was going up and down the bench like he was almost done for the day. Now, the ball came out at the end of the play, but forward progress was stopped, it appeared.
It did. Matt Wells talking to him this week sounded like such a nice guy, such a good sport. I'll tell you what, up 35 to challenge this one. Forward progress is something that's not challengeable, obviously.
Right.
Otherwise, he definitely would have.
Cipollini spun around and put down. Took a while for only a yard and a half. Zach Vigil over there. Coming into this series, Weber State was averaging less than a yard a snap compared to 8 per snap for Utah State. It'll be second. Give him 2 yards on the carry. 2nd and 8. Nothing available. Took a long time to develop that little bubble action. Quayokala coming over to take care of it. So now 3rd and long again.
What makes those screen passes effective is when you have a running game and another kind of passing game to keep the defense off balance.
There is no fumble on the play.
They can flat out
2nd down, 3rd down.
On the screen pass, especially on long yardage situations. And here we go again, 3rd and 13. Tough work for Austin Cipollini.
So on 3rd and about 13, design roll for Cipollini. And underneath, but well short of where he needed to go for the first down to Eric Walker. As a quarterback, you got to know where your receiver is and the sticks.
They didn't even have a receiver beyond the sticks right there. They had 3 or 4 guys out on the pattern, all well beneath the 13-yard line, the 13-yard marker they needed to get to. So I think that tells you all Weber State was trying to do was get their young quarterback a completion. And here we go, another punt for Tony Epperson. I think this will make 6 or 7 for him already.
It is his 6th. As you mentioned, Natson calling for the fair catch. And this is going to be the deepest field position to start a drive for Utah State in the first half. When we come back, they'll have it close to their own 23. Homecoming going according to plan for the Aggies. An easy start for Utah State as the Aggies get it for the 6th time. They're perfect on the first 5 and dominating Weber State so far. Joel Myers along with Kevin O'Connell. Putting it out there for Joe Hill. Into the secondary. Hill's got a first down. All the way up to the 42-yard line. Well, last week we talked about the victory at Air Force. And all the career best and across the board career best.
When I asked Coach Wells about that exact stat on the conference call this week, he said that's all great, but their whole motto here at Utah State is individual goals within the Aggie team concept, and boy, do they have that working.
Now to the 42. Nice sell on the play fake and overthrown. Out of his hand, you could see. Van Leeuwen wasn't going to catch up with that one. So one of the few poor throws from Keaton, but I like the way he sold the play fake.
That's what makes this offense go, is their ability to first down. You see Hall with the long run. They come out, they run a play action off almost the same look. That's a throw that I think Keaton would want back. And I'll tell you what, however long, much longer he's in this game, I don't know how many more of those we'll see.
But you mentioned they mix things up effectively. End around. Made a good job staying on containment as Natson couldn't get away from the D-back on that side of the field, Cordero. You've talked about Cordero and the challenge that he's up against. A guy that last year, his first career kickoff return, he took for 100 yards.
He did, and he plays bigger than his 5'10 frame, but big down right here. 3rd and 15, get this Aggie offense off the field, get the ball back for your offense if you're this Weber State defense.
6 for 6 on 3rd downs. Last 3rd down they scored on. This 3rd down, over the middle again. Guy who caught a touchdown earlier has gotten Travis Reynolds for more than enough for the first down. And that was a rope from Keaton.
You see him in the pocket right there, takes his drop, steps up, and fires it. Once again, very soft zone, but there's the footwork. 3 and throw. That's Chucky Keaton at his best.
Man, real quickly, on first down they go, and you brought it up in the very first 5 minutes of the game. You were alert to what they're doing. After they get a first down, they snap it even quicker than they do on 2nd and 3rd in their hurry up. Unfortunately, Chris Jones is down for Weber State. So Weber State, their defense, and I know it's only the first half, they've got to be exhausted. They've already been out there for 37 snaps. We've not been able to slow them down at all. Over 300 yards of offense this early in the game for Utah State.
That's got to be frustrating, because what you see is another 3rd down. Early on in that first drive, we saw them force a 3rd and 15. They drop back, very safe zone, try to keep everything in front, and that's fine. But when they do it again here, 3rd and 15, drop back, safe zone. You got a quarterback on the other side of the ball that can read this defense, and he's doing it very easily. He's looking off safeties and linebackers and finding his guys in the middle of the field. I think you need to bring pressure, and I know that leaves your defensive backs on an island, but at this point I think that is the better option than letting number 16 from Utah State just keep dropping back and picking you apart.
Well, you talk about dropping back and picking you apart because he's had time. Luke King up, man, appears to be okay. The offensive line, have we given them enough credit early this first half, because they are the 4th most experienced line in the country coming into the season. They started the season 120 career starts combined.
And it starts with the senior center, Tyler Lawson. I know a lot of NFL scouts are fired up about this guy. He really controls everything for Chucky Keaton up front. It's
his 41st consecutive game tonight. And now 2nd and a yard after the run by Joe Hill. Can run for it, and he will. First down at about the 12. They started back at the Utah State 23. They get into the end zone. It will be their longest drive by far of the night. But Weber State's defense, like last week against Utah, no answer at all.
It's just the versatility of this offense. And the 4-2-5, it is great at causing confusion, but when they can flat out move you up front, it makes it very hard to confuse the quarterback.
Tight end, who had the touchdown, first score of the game, takes a shot. Gialavea is pushed back from the 6 after the reception. Good for about 6.
And going back to that Utah State-Utah opener, talking to the folks here at Utah State, it sounded like they were one Chucky Keaton cramp away from winning that football game. They were driving in already with the lead, and he cramps up inside the 10-yard line. Backup comes in, they go incomplete, kick a field goal, but they really, really missed him on that one play. That just goes to show you how impressive and how important he is for the Aggies.
Big hole over to the left side, and Marshall should be able to make it. DiMartino, he's in. Joey DiMartino, touchdown, Utah State.
What we've seen so many times in this game is huge holes. You and I could both run through that hole right there, and what that means is linebackers and secondary players have to try to tackle this running back by committee core that are all very, very good in the open field. They have to tackle those guys one-on-one with a full head of steam coming at them. Very, very tough to ask those guys to do that. Starts up front, and the Utah State offensive line is definitely dominating the line of scrimmage.
Diaz with the point after. So DiMartino with his second touchdown of the first half. And it continues to be total domination by Utah State. Weather is moving in, and they've been talking about some severe thunderstorms in the area. And not far away, some flash flooding. Wasatch Range, and it is magnificent. As we welcome you back to Logan, Utah. Joel Myers, Kevin O'Connell, and 28,000 close friends. Now, if the rain comes, let's see how hardy they are.
This broadcast booth could get real popular with the cover over us, obviously. Let's lock the door.
Bo Bolin lets it go over his head for a touchback. Utah State up by 42. And as Weber State gets it back looking for the first down of the contest, that's how good it's been for Utah State. The Weber State defense, they gave up 49 in the first half last week to Utah.
They did, and the problems from last week, we're seeing them again. Cannot get off the field on third down, giving up big chunk plays down the field, some missed tackles. They're a work in progress, and they're going to take some things from this game, just like they did last week, and take those into Big Sky Conference play.
Chipoletti on the toss, and down already is Bo Bolin, the running back. They wanted to fumble, they won't get it. Maurice Alexander, the young man I mentioned, the free safety, senior from St. Louis, who didn't play last year, and sometimes in the doghouse this year because of his gambling. And I'm talking about on the field.
Last week against Air Force, obviously Air Force heavy option run team. He was caught 3 or 4 times up on play action. They threw the ball over his head, a couple PI calls against him, but you love the aggressiveness from their senior safety.
The loss back to the 21. Chipoletti going deep and wide open. He can't get his receiver, Cameron Livingston. Well, your former quarterback, is it squaring your shoulders and just settling in, even though you're on a roll?
They're doing him a favor by moving him out of the pocket, but you cannot miss those. As a freshman, you're going to maybe get one time a game where you got a guy wide open, an experienced secondary, not allowing coverage to break down. This team is playing a lot of freshmen, 23 true or redshirt freshmen. That is a lot to ask to go to Utah State and play fundamentally sound football. These guys are experiencing a lot of this for the very first time.
So now it's going to be third down. And then 14, almost 15. Showing a blitz off the edge. Chipoletti's got time, and he's got a nice throw. Receiver can't hang on. It's out, and it's incomplete. His best throw of the game, dropped by Eric Walker on the hit. That was a good hit, though.
Freshmen aware of the corner blitz. They pick it up. Much like we've seen from Keaton, rhythm in the pocket, steps into the throw. You've got to squeeze that. When you're down 42-0 in the second quarter with a freshman quarterback, you've got to squeeze that football for him. We've seen some drops. Obviously, he missed the open receiver the play before. 3rd and 14 to make a throw like that. I'm sure the Weber State coaches would have loved to see that converted, just to give them something positive to talk about coming up at halftime.
Brian Sweet, a senior from Hawaii. And off the side of the foot of Epperson. First, the snap wasn't any good again. And did he rush it? Because he had plenty of time with no pressure.
We heard a lot of do's, things that they had to do to be successful in this game, talking to Jody Sears, head football coach at Weber State this week. We have not seen very many of those. What we've seen is a lot of the don'ts that he mentioned, the things that they couldn't do to even be competitive. Things like dropping footballs on third down, the turnovers, giving up big plays, the missed tackles. You've got to try to clean some of those things up at halftime.
It was a 24-yard punt at the 45. High one out there. Picked up by Natson. And now tried to elude his tight end, who slowed him down. The big guy out there, Gialavea. Otherwise, he kind of had some room to roam.
It's just a very easy way to get the ball into the hands of your punt returner, and that's all that becomes is a punt return. He gets some blockers out in front, only able to pick up 3 there, but those are going to be some huge plays down the line for Utah State, getting the ball into the hands of Brutes Naston.
Gray skies on the horizon. Been gloomy since the start. Weber State. Keaton going through his progressions. Down the middle, wide open. Diving attempt, but couldn't get to it. Natson. Talked about a guy that's only 5'7".
You see the ability of Keaton, though. Things break down. He moves to his left and makes the throw on the run to his left, flicks that ball about 50 yards in the air. That is not an easy thing to do, and he makes those types of throws look very easy.
Natson down on the ground like he got the wind knocked out of him with the attempt. And 2 of the misses have been deep throws, where he tried to find a guy and just missed him by a lot on the overthrow. On low percentages, but still real efficient first half for Chucky Keaton.
Nobody's harder on themselves than Chucky Keaton himself. One of his greatest qualities, talking to Coach Wells this week, and he'll find some things on film, a couple overthrows on the deep balls that he will not be happy with tomorrow, but that's what makes him so great. He's a worker. He'll be the first guy in the facility there tomorrow watching this tape, breaking it down, and getting ready to play the Trojans next week.
We talked about his footwork and the guy that can scramble, because coming into the game, he also led the Aggies in rushing.
And they do it in a variety of ways. Quarterback draw, the zone read, but some of his biggest scrambles are on drop back pass. And when you've got a quarterback that can do that and make those plays, makes life easy for an offensive coordinator.
They have yet to fail on 3rd down in this game for 7. Looks like he's checking off at the line. Great pocket protection. And the sideline's available. He's got going down the sideline. Sean Johnson with a first down and a 1st and goal to the 8. Boy, the offensive line, what a luxury to look through the way he did, right, middle, then left.
He does. Full field reads, no pressure whatsoever. It is impossible to cover 4 and 5 wide receivers for that long.
Keaton, he wanted it himself. He kept it in the breadbasket of his running back for a long time before he took it out.
A bit of a master with the zone read. You watch Chucky Keaton on tape, you'll see him very rarely does he make the wrong decision. Looks like we might have caught him once right there, keeping it when he might have given it to the running back.
It'll be 2nd and goal right at the 8. Inside of 4 to play in the half. Middle, tight end, touchdown. Tialavea is 2nd and unaccounted for.
Same exact play from the first touchdown catch that Tialavea caught early on the first drive of this game. And that's another thing that drives coaches absolutely crazy, getting beat by the same thing twice. Folks, if that looks familiar, it is the same play from the first touchdown catch for Tialavea. That'll frustrate Coach Sears, no doubt.
Well, lightning with rain coming. And now 49 on the board. Weber State gave up 49 in the first half, give up 49 again in the first half, this time to Utah State on a 5-play, 45-yard drive. It took less than 2 minutes. That's why time of possession means very little. So 3:47 left in the half. We knew it was going to be real difficult for Weber State. We didn't know it would get away this early.
Well, I think Utah State has no doubt come out and executed this offense, but we've seen some mistakes right there. The tight end unaccounted for in the low red zone. We know Utah State is very effective in that red zone. They've been the #1 team in the country, but when you're giving them short fields like they have, Weber State's offense has done nothing to keep their defense off the field. How many snaps have we seen this Weber State defense have this first half against one of the top offenses in the country? That's a lot to ask. But the mistakes are things that the self-inflicted wounds are the things that you hate seeing, because you don't give yourself a chance when you've got turnovers and you're leaving guys uncovered. like to execute fundamentally sound, and if they are flat out better, so be it. But when the mistakes are happening that you can fix yourself, that's when you get frustrated as a coaching staff and as a football team.
Matt Wells told us they weren't going to look past Weber State with USC in Southern California next week. Dixon will take it from the goal line. The Thompson kick. And won't make it to the 20. Down to the 19. So it's going to be the 8th time that Weber has had the football. They almost had their first down of the game. It was dropped, though, by the wide receivers. So let's see if Chipoletti can play off a real good throw his last snap.
We saw some signs of life from Chipoletti, and maybe that throw, I know it wasn't completed, it was a drop, but maybe that throw will give him a little bit of confidence moving forward.
Light rain starts to fall. The first down. We are on Merlin Olsen Field, Logan, Utah. Not what they need. And how did he get it over there? That was a tough throw, and it's complete. Going over to the far side to Johnson. Or check that. The tight end took it in. It is their tight end, Kauai. They're trying to maximize what they've got left in the half. A little more than 3 minutes to play. Sideline again. Complete back-to-back completions. Cameron Livingston and the first down of the game for Weber State.
Home crowd here, obviously a little bit of a sarcastic applause for the visiting Weber State Wildcats, but Chipoletti, let's not forget, this is his first road start. We're seeing him gain a little bit of confidence. Forget the scoreboard, forget the situation. Chipoletti can grow up in a hurry in his first road start.
Closes over to the left side. He thought he had a path. He still gets a couple of yards out of it on first down. Austin Chipoletti, he's running essentially, as his coach told us earlier this week, the same system he ran in high school.
And the number one goal as a coordinator and as their head coach, Jody Sears, told us was to try to get him in a rhythm, which is almost impossible to do when you're going 3 and out for most of the first half.
This is just what Weber State needed. The rain falling. The screen is there. Great one-handed play by Booker. Out of bounds, but he showed. Just get it in the neighborhood. A guy that was second team All Big Sky a couple of years ago. So now third down. They finally converted a first down. Now can they convert a third down? They're 0 for 7. Forget it. He called, it seemed like he checked out of the original play and was checking off and making calls at the line.
And those calls are coming from the sideline. Chipoletti gets the check, supposed to make that check, and obviously when they made the check, it looked like Utah State's veteran secondary checked into a completely different pressure, which is really impressive to do at the college level. That's something you see on Sundays. But with a veteran group and this good coaching staff from Utah State, they look very, very prepared. I'll tell you what, USC is going to have their hands full next week on both sides of the ball, actually in all 3 phases, no question. Natson
and Epperson again has problems on his own that time. It was a good snap, and that's his best punt so far. Natson called for the fair catch. Flag comes out. So mistake. Another one by Weber State, this time on special teams. Nakamura down there.
Hey, that's the first good snap, Weber!
And what's it, Eddie Hall? Guy from right outside of Logan.
After the catch, personal foul, kicking team, number 29. 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
Calling on Zach Smith instead, the reserve running back. Or is it Florence? Yes, they added on Thursday a new member to the team, Deontay Florence. who played last year at Boise State. So now it gives Utah State the ball at their own 30. That was an addition to this roster just this past Thursday. Nowhere to go. Running back Joey DiMartino. Finally, they get a little penetration.
They did, and for this Weber State front, I think at this point, like we've talked about early on in this game, you've got to start selling out. And if you're going to make a play, it's going to be because of your aggression, not by you playing it safe and playing safe coverages.
Well, Larkey in on that one. Empty the backfield. And put 3 on the wide side of the field, but bring in DiMartino. Keaton brought it back after he saw the original pass to his tight end was taken away. Alert play. They jumped that route, didn't they?
They did. And conservative play call. Once again, we're going to see a 3rd down and long as things start to get a little chippy out there. Those offensive linemen are going to protect their all-conference quarterback. But Weber State's defense starting to find a little bit of something, I think, here. They're starting to crowd the line of scrimmage a little more. Those front 3, very important front 3 and 4 D linemen for this Weber State defense starting to establish themselves up front.
See if this is the final play of a forgettable first half if you're a Weber State fan. Keaton, ball getting slick now with the rain. In kind of an ad-lib mode. As the completion goes to Sean Johnson, and that'll do it. So Utah State with touchdowns on their first 7 possessions of the game. Homecoming could not be scripted any better for the Aggies. We'll come back to Logan as we continue. Utah State up by 49 on Weber State.